Honestly, it was the most thoughtful compliment that I thought I could give my girlfriend at the time. That like, hey, don't worry about aging because I'm gonna want to. You're gonna have to delete that, Robert. I'm sorry. Welcome to the Top Podcast. I'm your host, Lou, and joining me with Rob.
What up?
Mike.
Hey.
And we have a special guest. Mike, take it away.
To quote Lucian, our next guest is a man of wonder. A man whose good looks are rivaled only by his complete and utter disregard for punctuality. A man whose beauty is so great that upon first laying eyes on him, Rob's wife literally choked on her drink. He is a filmmaker aspiring to a career rivaling that of the great Leonardo DiCaprio, by which I mean to say he has no intention of ever dating a woman under the age of 21. Please welcome actor, director, writer, producer, and above all, our friend, Hot Kyle.
Wow, what an introduction.
21, that's a step up from Leo. I think Leo was like 25 or something.
Yeah.
It is a step up, but it's a step up because she was like 20.
Hold on. I think, Mike, did you say that wrong? It sounded like you said he will never date a woman under 21.
We can check the replay. Do it.
This What Really Happened replay is brought to you by...
He has no intention of ever dating a woman under the age of 21.
We look stupid.
If I did, I misspoke.
Yeah.
Over 21.
Yeah, there you go. You just want to take that again? All right, take two, boys.
Boom, roast.
No, I like it. I don't know. I like it.
Well, hey, thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I would like to state for the record that I had no part in the naming of Hot Kyle. That was done completely behind my back and happened for a long time before I even knew about it.
It's true.
Did somebody just
Rob's wife.
Hot Kyle? Rob's
And
wife
my
said-
wife.
I say I thought it was
Yikes.
your wife to start off, and that my wife just,
It was those two and Barkley. I don't know who said it first.
All right, so this is Rob. I went and did some investigative journalism, and I talked to all the sources that was listed in that conversation. And it turns out that Mike was actually the person to first call Kyle, Hot Kyle. Join us next week when we draw this out longer than a low-level staffer stealing signs.
Robert's fists are just like closed, really aggressively.
I told you guys I was moving out here for a job. I was really just to get distance between Kyle and I, so.
All right, I'm moving out to California. I'm going to be inching closer, buddy.
You might overshoot, though, because you're moving further down south.
Like I said, one step at a time. We'll get there.
To start us off, we like to start with an icebreaker. I thought since our who we have on this week, I think this would be appropriate. What would be the title of your biography?
Whoa. Am I going first?
I mean,
If you know it, go ahead. I don't. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
you got it.
Lou, as the questioner, has the burden of answering first by us all time. But if you got something,
This is of my life so far, or can I pick a segment of my life?
let's. You can do whatever you feel free to. It's up to you.
Okay.
Oh, all right. To start us off, usually when I ask these questions, I have an answer to them. I had a couple.
this is
of
what
them.
happened to me last week.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be real different and say almost there. And you can take that the way that you want to, sexually, non-sexually.
I don't think anyone was gonna take it sexually until you said that. But now I'm picturing you with a very different face than I was 10 seconds ago.
You effing know it, big dog.
Does anybody else have one?
I can change this question if it's too hard, if it's too much of a thoughtful question.
Well, I'm just trying not to sound too stuck up with my answer.
Oh, well, go ahead if you got one.
I do not have one.
Mike, a clear vision.
I was thinking something along the lines of thinks he's too smart for his own good.
Rob, if only he tried.
Wow. All right. My mic disconnected. I thought you guys were ignoring me. I'm back.
Hey.
Oh, hey, welcome.
Yeah, we invited you here not to hear you.
Will not acknowledge me.
I was just like, I've got an answer. I've got it. And you guys just kept talking. I'm like, okay, but I've got mine. And you guys just kept talking. Okay. I'm going to call my biography Lost in the Sauce.
Classic.
Just for years, I'd be doing one thing and I'd have my head caught up in something else. And it took me a long time to get my head kind of out of living in my own different like realities up in my head and actually existing in the world I'm in and in like the present moment. And so in the journey of like getting out of the imaginary world and into my existing world, I'd call it Lost in the Sauce.
I got one for me. That is a good one. Sorry.
That's a really good one.
I wanted to say mine before I forgot it.
You're good. Go ahead.
Mine would be Rob, writing, oil, politics. Because that includes 2 of my degrees and then like the hobby that like I guess I identify with the most. And I just feel like it's catchy. You know, you throw oil in there and politics. Who doesn't want to read that?
Yeah, the cover is like a really good, sophisticated headshot of you, like finger and thumb under the chin, staring at the camera intellectually. Like I see it. I see it. Exactly.
So on this podcast, we like to get deep, not sexually. Sorry. And we like to talk about embarrassing stories. So we're going to do top 3 embarrassing stories, non-criminal embarrassing stories. I want to put that out there.
Oh, well, hold on. All 3 of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't say that last week.
I should just leave the podcast now.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
No, but I had to dig deep for this one. This is, you guys are bringing me on, and I'm just you're making jokes about young girls, and then you're going to ask me to tell my most embarrassing stories. I mean, this is quite the setup.
I gave you the chance to pre-screen that introduction. You said no.
There's no fun in a pre-screening. you gotta let it rip.
Champion move, but
yeah, I think with embarrassing stories, I try to block those out of my head. I think Robert, you said that last week, right? Robert?
So that's mine are going to be kind of general moments. Now, some of them have stories with them, but like general moments that happen to me that lead to those embarrassing moments. But yeah, I just like whenever something embarrassing happens to me, I just kind of try to block it out of my mind. So I'm like, I can't remember a lot of specific times. I'm just like, they don't exist in my memory. Just forgot about them.
I got too tired of being embarrassed by everything and just kind of like flipped a switch and was like, whatever, we're just going to have fun laughing at this too. And so like all my stories are like pre-college, because by the time I got to college, I was like, I don't have the energy to be embarrassed anymore.
Yeah. The Andy Dwyer tactic. Go watch Parks and Rec.
All right. Oh, I didn't know you had that superpower. That's fun.
Yeah, let's get past that. It's fine. Is Lucian starting us off?
I thought Hot Kyle wanted to say something.
Yeah, I can start us off. I've got a story prepped if you guys are willing to let me go first.
Go.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Because it's funny, Lucian, as you were just saying, like this first story, I actually completely forgot about. I think I did block this out. And in thinking about my embarrassing stories, it unlocked a memory in my head. And it got me kind of excited because it makes me wonder what other memories are locked away that I just never think about. Because this is something I have not thought about in like at least 10 years. And all these like, I'm not embarrassed about it anymore, but all these emotions came flooding back when I opened it up because I'm like, ooh, this was a rough one. This was an embarrassing moment.
What else am I repressing?
Exactly. It's like, what else is just like locked in there for some other prompt or therapy or something? All right. So I was a sophomore in high school at the time, which, as you guys can attest, is a complicated time. A lot of emotions, a lot of hormones. You know, it's tough being a high schooler. And the year before, throughout the entirety of freshman year, I had one of those crushes on a girl where, because you're like a 14-year-old kid, you have no idea what to ever say to her. So I didn't say like a word to her all year long, but I was like convinced I was in love with this girl from school. And the following year, you know, nothing ever happens. It didn't go anywhere because I never talked to her. And sophomore year hits, and I end up sitting next to her twin sister in my Spanish class. And so we got grouped up early on in the year for like a project where we had to do a skit in Spanish. And which even at that time was my specialty. Storytelling, I'm all about it. So we do this skit where her twin sister ends up, who I'm just going to call Lily. It's a fake name, but just for the sake of ease.
Or is it?
Where Lily, ooh, that's so funny. I was thinking about that. I'm like, if I use a real name, who's ever going to know? Who's actually going to take the time to look up the high school?
Lily might.
The people in Belgium.
The people in Belgium.
I've narrowed down that she's a twin. So if you do your research, there's not that many like twins at the high school that it could be.
That's so valid. And I just got to figure out what high school he went to.
So
it's gonna be really hard to track down that he went to the. So
okay. So in the skit, Lily, how do I say this? All right. So in the skit, Lily steadily like is like flirting with me and like hitting on me in this like in increasing ways, and I'm really off put by it, and I get weirded out, and I like basically stand up and pronounce that I'm gay and that me gusta chicos, and I like run out of the room. It's like it was this big thing, it got this big laugh, and it was fun. We spent the whole rest of the year in that class, you know, me and her were kind of friends. I had other friends that were all girls in the class, and like whole year goes by, and towards the end of the year, it was like one of those like, hey, end of the year parties for the class. Everyone brought food. We're all hanging out, talking. And it comes out that everybody in that class thought that I was gay because of the skit we made. And they spent the whole year believing this. All these guys who were like the popular guys essentially were like, they couldn't believe it. They were like, no, wait, what? No, hold on. But the skit, like they're all like making this like raucous time of it. And meanwhile, Lily is like, she's losing it. Cause she's like, oh my God. She's like, guys, no, like, trust me, he's not gay. And so on top of this, like, which look, you guys know, I've got nothing against like, I'm not homophobic at all. I grew up with a gay
No,
man.
but 2010 was a different time.
Well, being age 14 and like dealing with being in love with every girl you see, and then to come to find out, like it's gotten around that everybody has believed you were gay because you shouted "Me gusta chicos" in front of the whole class, and then to add insult to injury, the sister of the girl that I was like in love with is laughing her ass off, looking at me, being like, "No," like she knows what happened last year, and that I didn't say a freaking word to her sister that I was in love with, and she like that was just like the icing on the cake was her being like, oh, guys, no, trust me, he's not gay. And it killed me. I just like knowing that entire time, like that's what that it had gotten around. People were like saying stuff about it. It was just like, that was the label I was given, like, because they were like, oh yeah, that guy, he's gay. Like it just, oh my God. As a sophomore in high school, to find out the end of the year, it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with.
Especially at the end of the year too, because you can't defend yourself because summer's about to hit.
Exactly.
That's like the worst. That's the worst.
Exactly. I the whole summer was spent away from all these people, unable to like, and it's not like I wasn't any better with girls as a sophomore than I was as a freshman. So it's not like I was ever dating anybody or anything. So they had every reason to believe that, and it was a label I was given throughout that whole year of high school.
How did you bounce back, or did you fight the fight, or did you kind of just
about being gay, like about being like
like
about that? So I like in the moment I was like, no, that's not the case. But overall, because I was very like I said, I grew up with an aunt who was gay. I was ring bearer at her wedding at age like 10 years old. So it was always normalized for me, and ultimately, it wasn't like a label that was like devastating to me. I just hated that now all these girls that I could have been talking to, which it's not like I would have talked to them anyway, but now all these girls think that I'm gay and I'm completely like off the table. It was more just like, it was the idea of pushing away the potential loves that I could be having that crushed me more than people thinking that I was gay. I didn't care that much about the gay thing. I just cared that, oh no, all these women are now never going to date me because they think I like guys.
See, I think that's the wrong mindset to go into. Have you ever seen the movie Kick-Ass? Isn't that how it starts? Like the love interest thinks he's gay, and that gets the foot in the door.
I was gonna say, it sounds like you said you were friends with all these girls that year.
No, that didn't help. I was friend zoned by at least like 20 women in high school. Like I became really close with a bunch of women, and I think it only fed that notion. I was in love with all of them. Like I was so ready. I was like, but I could not go from friends to like dating status with any of them.
Then he tried out the Chicos, and well, here he is.
No looking back.
Hey, gusto chicas.
So that's my first story.
This episode of The Top Podcast is brought to you by our Instagram page. Follow us on Instagram at The Top Podcast, all one word. That's the with two E's. On our Instagram, we post a lot of random videos and then clips of the podcast and some look behind the scenes. Also, feel free to ask us any questions that we can read at the beginning of the show. Just go ahead and comment on any of our posts, and Mike will see it and hopefully get back to you. Remember, that's TheeToppodcast, The Top Podcast on Instagram. Hope to see you in the metaverse.
I think it's super poetic that I am next because it also has to do with a girl. I did not pretend to be gay. I don't know what was your plan with that. Hot Kyle. I don't know.
It wasn't a plan.
I know.
It's not intentional. I know.
All right. Yeah. So 8th grade comes around, and I am feeling myself. I am playing football. I can see my feet because I was always a chubby kid. So I'm starting to lean out a little bit, and I'm feeling myself. And so I meet up with this girl. Let's just say her name is Alexis. And I am infatuated with this woman. I think she is a woman. She watches anime, and she doesn't like watch anime to pretend like she watches anime. She like we're having conversations about lore and jutsus. She
That's awesome.
can throw a football, and my favorite thing about her that year was that she had a copy of Halo, the demo, and she downloaded the demo on every computer in our computer class. And so instead of I know.
I played the
I
mess
know.
out of
So
that
instead
demo
of-
as a kid. My goodness.
Yeah. So what's the I think it's called Blood Gulch.
Yeah,
or
that's
something
the
like
map
that. What
that's on there. Blood Gulch. I think like the 3rd campaign mission.
Yeah, and so we were just playing that constantly, and so I was just infatuated with this girl. So the year goes, and we're hanging out, and I've come to the conclusion that I need to show my love to this woman. I need to let her know. And so instead of going up to her and just being straight up with her, I sent her an email.
No.
Which is
Interesting.
Not even like an aim.
which is not a straight personal straight up email.
Oof.
And so back in the day in AOL emails, you could do snippets of songs where you click the link and a little bit of the song will play. And can anybody guess what song I
Smack That by
proposed.
Akon.
Wait,
Oh, that's a good one.
So that was hot
ain't nobody
back then.
see us together.
Or Low by Ush. Not what is
Me and your mama.
Flow Rida. I don't. What's the Usher
Flow
song
Rida.
that was big?
Yo, the way
Yeah?
that you said "mama" was wild. It was "Should I Stay or Should I Go" by the Clash.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I was feeling saucy, so I put in like little snippets and pretty much like "Should I stay or should I go?" You know, we've been friends for a year now. We need to get going on this. We need to up this level up. And it was something, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was I remember being the most confident I've ever felt in this email. And so I sent it Friday. I wait the weekend, and me and Alexis have time we had a class, or we always had time to like talk to each other. And she avoided me like the plague. And then I find out that from her friend that she thought I was the weirdest kid in school now.
No.
And putting extra to that, she actually dated one of my best friends that year.
Oh, rip the dream. Oh my
And-
gosh, that hurts.
I was so embarrassed. It was the most embarrassed I felt since that in that grade. Since then, not since then, but before that, never been more embarrassed. Yep.
Yeah, that's tough, buddy. At that age
That is
too,
tough.
being in love with this girl.
Mhm.
Oh,
Just thinking like I just like ruined a friendship. Thinking back on it, I was so worried about dating this girl that I had such a beautiful friendship with this one that I completely ruined it just off of email.
I mean, yeah, you
Dude,
should your shot though.
That's exactly why I didn't ask a single girl out until junior year of high school, because that exact conundrum was constantly just like getting stuck in my head, where I was like, oh, I like this girl and I like this thing we got going. But if I ask her out and she doesn't feel the same way, does that mean we're going to ruin the thing we have going? I better not ask her out. But we better just be friends. And like, I would just put myself in the friend zone because of that. Like, I was so scared of that happening.
Lucian, was there ever any kind of like, did you and her ever come to a resolution? Were you ever friends again? Did you ever get to talk about this, or was that the end of the story?
So we were Facebook friends for a super long time, and I actually tried to look her up on Facebook again, and I could not find her. So I think she deleted her Facebook. I do remember one time, this is super, I was so funny that you said this because I was thinking about saying it, but I was like, this is kind of corny. But we were, that summer, I was on the playground behind our middle school, and I saw her, and she saw me, and we like locked eyes with each other, and she waved at me. And I swear this is true.
Changes
And
pants.
she waved at me and walked away. And
You
I
were
was
like, if you stay, there will be trouble.
But if you go, it'll be double.
and that's the last time I saw her in person. Far as I knew, she was doing hair in Arizona, and she seemed happy. So,
Wow.
but yeah,
I just say I'm really glad you stopped at hair, because when you said she's doing hair, I fully expected it to be
win.
ended with a win, and I was like, "Whoa, that just took a dark turn."
Bro.
oh, heroin. Yeah, she seems like she's killing it with the Black Tower, man. She's having a good time.
Living her best life.
She's flying high. She's living her best life. She's doing Black Tar heroin.
My number 3 is being underprepared for a podcast. Because no, it's not. So like I said,
Okay.
mine are like,
I was like, because these two have brought a lot of heat, and I was like, they got me beat.
yeah. So I was kind of hoping that you'd be better than me. So I'm like kind of that middle, but then like it ends on a high note. So I'm sorry if that's not the case. But like I said, mine, I kind of repress those memories. So mine are more of general examples. So my number 3 is stage forgetfulness. And I have a couple examples for this, but the one that really popped in my mind back, I went to a Baptist church. Like my first church was a Baptist church in Metro Detroit area. And all Baptist churches have this Christmas play. And of course, I think, oh, I'm going to be the lead and everything and get this. No, I was like 6 or 7. So I was first, second grade. Go up there. I get like one line. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this line, go through. And I'm just like so ready for this line. Then the day of the play comes, it goes there. And it was supposed to be like, oh, this is what I think, blah, 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 blah. And we're sitting there at this table because it's supposed to be like a family meal. And my line comes and my ADHD kicked in. So I didn't know it was me. And everyone was just like looking at me like, what do you think? Trying to get the line out of me. I'm just like, I don't know what I think. And I just like flush red. And like the audience laughs because they know that like I messed up and everything.
Oh no!
Thankfully, that did not deter me from doing theater. I did a couple musicals in middle school and high school. Did not forget my lines, so I learned from that. But also on the other side, just kind of add in here, when you're on the stage with the people and someone else forgets their line, it can also be just as awkward. So a lot of Greek life, they'll have like different activities, and there's this sorority called Chi in college, and they do like this talent show, basically a variety show where you like make songs, and usually you put in like Chi Omega like references in there. And we're doing a cover of what's the last name ever, first name greatest, that Drake song. And I being the one kid from Metro Detroit, like, you can do the rap part, but someone was supposed to do like the intro. And so we start playing it and the guy forgets his lines. So I'm just like, So it's like, because then I know I'm next, so I'm like, people are gonna be like, oh, he forgot his line. So it's not quite as awkward, but then it's just still like people are gonna think I did this. I went and I killed it though, so that's all that mattered.
Yeah, nice. Good. Being on stage and with somebody else who's forgotten their lines is so uncomfortable because they'll freeze up and then they don't know what to say, and then you have to awkwardly try to salvage the situation, which can go well or look, like you're the one that's messing things up. It just like it puts both parties on stage in such an awkward, uncomfortable position. I can't imagine, dude.
Yeah, good thing it turned out looking like the scene from 8 Mile. I was getting the crowd going, except I was the guy that lost. So it's my number 3.
I've never done any plays, but I've done more than my share of playing music on stage. And I definitely get what both of you are saying, because there was a time we were playing, and the song wasn't even complicated, but like everybody was supposed to hit the last note on 4, right? So it's like 1, 2, 3. Everybody hits that last note. And we get there, and I've messed this thing up so many times while practicing that I was like super focused in. I count 1, 2, and then everybody hits it on 3, and me and the bass player both looking at each other, and then like practice kicked in and we both hit our note on 4, and then everybody looked at us and I was like, no, that was you guys. Like, I get that there's more of you than me, but I can count to 4. That was like, it was horrible. And then there was one time I was singing a hymn, like I was lead vocals for this song, and I'm visually impaired, so I can't read off a sheet. So I literally will memorize every single song we do. And we got out of this instrumental, and I just completely drew a blank on the entire last verse. And I just turned to the other guy with a microphone and just started giving him this super hard look like, dude, I'm going to hold this chord until you realize that I'm looking at you and I don't remember the words. And we must have gone 16 beats just holding an E chord before he was like, I see what's going on now. And then like finish the song. But it was so uncomfortable.
Well, that's some good deflection, because everyone thinks it's going to be that guy's fault because you were looking at him. That's smart right there.
Right. That was always my move. Whenever I did mess up, I would usually just glance at the bass player subtly and just like try and like, so if anyone looked at me, they'd be like, oh, the bass player messed up and it made him sound bad.
So in the instance where you and like half the band started on different beats, is it hard for you guys to like get realigned and be like on the same notes, or was the whole song off because like they were a beat ahead of you guys.
Yeah. So luckily that was the end of the song. So we were all supposed to hit the last note in unison. So it was just like, it just ended super awkward. Cause it was like, you know, and instead of just being one big crescendo, it was all like staggered. But when that happens, it's not too hard as long as you know what you're doing. Cause basically the person, as long as you know you're the one who's off, you just stop for a minute. Or you find the root note and just kind of play that so you blend in and then hop back in on the next change. So you learn to pick it up pretty quick, but it is a horrible feeling if you don't. There was one time we were playing and the dude on keyboard, the song started on keys. Guy was singing, playing keys. It was electronic keyboard and he had transposed up a couple notes. And so like he was playing a C chord on the piano, but digitally it just changed it to an E or whatever. And so he starts playing and everyone's sitting there waiting to come in and we're all going, something's off. And then the first guy who's supposed to come in hits his note and we were all like, oh, we know the problem. And so all of us just like turn the volume on our instruments down and hold our ears to them and start just desperately playing a bunch of chords until we found what key it was in. And I hit it first. And so I'm like signing to everyone behind the piano player's back. I'm like, it's in G now. And like, oh, this is rough.
This is during a live performance. You guys are just
literally on stage, tons of people looking at you, and all of us are just desperately just like, oh, I can find this. Yeah, we got. It was the last song of the church service too. So we finished up, and the keyboardist just turned around and he goes, "Guys, I'm so sorry." Like he was like, I knew right away, but I couldn't stop.
At least you have that musical knowledge, like how to transpose. I never learned how to transpose, so I would just be like, all right, I'll just fake strum like it's Freaky Friday, you know.
Right. Just gonna unplug the guitar. And...
What a good pull.
So my number 3 was I had just come home from camp. I had just finished camping youth week. And I had been counseling juniors the week before that. So it was a 2-week run. And I met this girl while I was counseling and we hit it off and it's like, oh, hey, this might be something. And then like, I was so excited because youth week is apparently the 1 week where you're allowed to have phones because it's like, you're all adults. We're not going to try and take your phones from you. And so the whole week I was trying to balance, like, I want to be present. I want to be having a good time at camp, but I really want to be texting this new girl. And so like, we're chatting and like, I think I did a pretty good job balancing both because I had a great time at camp, but also, you know, had a good time like getting to know this girl. And so, and like, I'm talking to people asking advice. I'm like, hey, do you think I should go for this? Do you think this is a good idea? You know, I'm trying to find people who are wiser than me, who know us both and get some advice. And like, I get to the end of the week and I walk away with both. I'm like, I think this relationship might have some legs. I think I'm going to go for it. And I talked to some other people. They agreed. I talked to her older sister who was on staff and she was like, dude, absolutely. You guys should go for this. And so I was like, hey, I texted her. I was like, hey, you want to maybe like Skype or something when I get home from camp? And she was like, yeah, totally. And so I'm working myself up the entire drive back from camp. Like, okay, how am I going to tell this girl I'm interested in you? Like, how is this conversation going to go? And so I am just so hyper focused, and like I sit down at home, I download Skype for the first time in my life. We finally get this thing running. There's the whole awkwardness of just trying to get Skype up and going, and then we finally get through like the awkwardness of the beginning of a Skype conversation where it's just like, oh hey, it's like a phone call but we can see each other. And like things are finally going smooth, and I'm like, I'm gonna go hang out on the couch. So I get up and I walk out of my bedroom. And as I turn to go down the stairs, my dad is coming out of the bathroom. He just took a shower. He's in a towel and he runs up to the looks in the webcam. He doesn't know who it is, flexes super hard and just goes, I'm so buff. And then just goes into his room. And I was just like, how do you tell a girl you like her after this? And I think I got there. But like my entire world just got derailed for a minute.
I am not surprised at all.
No, it's on brand for him.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think he realized a 17-year-old girl was on the other side of the webcam, or he definitely wouldn't have done that. He just figured it was Dylan or somebody. That was a rough one.
Yeah, well, I had the story in.
But you recovered, right?
Feelings reciprocated?
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, we dated for like a year and a half after that. So it was all good. But
I mean, that probably helped your chances. Let's be honest here.
That's true. She was like, "Oh, he's gonna grow up to be so buff." So
Exactly. This is what she has to look forward to.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember you being on your phone a lot that first youth week, or second youth week. So I think you passed that well.
yeah, I worked very, very hard to have a good balance on that. I'm also pretty decent at subtle texting, especially for a blind guy.
All right. Am I next up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I actually have a theater story, just like Rob.
Woo woo.
Because I did theater all throughout high school and then did community theater for the years following.
Quick question.
Yes.
How did that play into trying to convince people you weren't gay?
That's what I'm saying. There were a lot of factors. It was not just me shouting "Me gusta chicos." I'm pretty sure people had every reason to believe I was gay. I was close with all these women that I was friend zoned. I was doing musical theater on the regular. I get it. The
All his
clues are there.
all his guy friends call him Hot Kyle for some reason. It's just,
So anyway, I was in musical theater. This time I was probably about 19 or 20 at this time. And I was Kaniki in Greece. And this is a real name. My buddy Connor was in the show as well. One of the funniest guys I know. And there's this scene where the girls have a scene with the curtain closed and the curtain opens up and are you guys familiar with Grease, the play? Or sorry, the movie at least?
I am not. It just says John Travolta. That's all I know.
There's
I
a
am
sweater.
familiar.
A girl wears a sweater, and there's a car.
Yeah, Jam.
You guys haven't watched Grease? You
Yeah.
guys never watched Grease before?
Jeremy Jam sings the girl part in the song. That's all I know.
Wait, what?
And
What is that?
Remember in Parks and
Yeah,
Rec, Leslie is trying
I
to befriend Jam. Jeremy Jam is the councilman, and she's like, "Oh, I'll sing the girl part in this Grease for karaoke." And he's like, "No, I sing the girl part," and like throws Leslie a note the leather jacket.
I do remember that. I thought you were talking about the YouTube movie critic for a minute. I was like, what? So I think it's safe to say no. Most of us aren't familiar with.
Lucian, have you seen it? You sounded hurt.
I love Grease. Grease is good. I love the Chicks of Cream. It's my favorite.
Thank you, Lucian, for being
Yeah.
cultured in this moment.
I try.
And
I try
potentially
to
gay.
stay safe.
So-
I don't know. John Travolta, but I mean, whatever.
Oh, so the curtain opens up, and in the show, you've got a bunch of guys who are, the guys who wear the leather jackets are the T-Birds, and all the ladies are the pink ladies. So the curtain opens up, and the line in the script is for Connor, and he's supposed to start making fun of the girls because they're cheerleaders, and he's supposed to say, "Do a split, give a yell, shake a tit for old Rydell," and then we all do like a mock cheerleading dance. We ended up changing like the line when we performed it to "Do a split, give a yell, shake your butt for old Rydell," just to, make it a little more PG friendly. The show ran for a few weekends, but we had one. It was like a Monday morning show. It was the weirdest thing. Like they brought in elementary school kids as like a field trip to come see us perform Grease. And so it was like a Monday morning show. We're doing the show at like 10 a.m. Curtains closed. The girls are doing their cheerleader scene in front of the curtain, like at the moment. So us guys are just like screwing around behind the curtain, messing with each other. And Connor comes out with his fake pom-pom in his zipper in his pants. And he comes out and he's just like shaking his hips at us. And I walk right up and just grab it. And we're just like we're doing all these like classic like boy shenanigans, just laughing at each other. And curtain starts opening up as we're like mid shenanigans. I mean, Connor still has the pom-pom sticking through his fly, and we all panic, and we're like, whipping out, pulling these pom-poms out of inappropriate places, and we jump into the positions we're supposed to be in, and the curtain fully opens up, lights are on us, and we're all like holding our breath, like, okay, that was really close. And Connor's supposed to say his line, and we all look at Connor, and Connor he's frozen. He's forgotten what he's supposed to say, and all of a sudden it kicks in. He's like, oh, you could see the realization that he's supposed to go, and so he's like, do a split. What does he say? He says, yeah, do a split, shake a. And he looks at me, and he's notioning with his hand in front of everybody, like, come on, give me something. And I'm like, in character as Kaniki, I'm like, a tit. Like, I don't know what came out of me. It was just like, what came to mind? Like, I don't understand. But fully in character, I was just like, I like shrugged. I was like, a tit. And his eyes go wide. We are surrounded by elementary school kids. Like, you can hear a pin drop in that theater as he slowly turns, knowing that the whole thing's completely like biffed. And he's like, yeah, guys, shake a tit. And the music just starts, and we do our routine, and it would like we were like laughing the whole time throughout the routine. It actually added to the rest of the scene, but like dead silence in this theater full of these like 10-year-old, these young kids. And I'm like mic'd up a tit. That was my biggest like on stage blunder, but I will forever blame him because I was not supposed to talk at all. Like he's the one who teed me up.
Did your director say anything after?
It's funny because the director wasn't there for that show. Ooh. He had like a job he had to be at, and we were all like, do not tell Greg. Like Greg cannot find out about this. And the youngest kid in our cast, who was one of the T-Birds, he was like, his name was John. I was 19. This kid must have been like 13. And he told Greg, like he shouted it first time, like as soon as he saw Greg again, Greg, you wouldn't believe what Kyle Goddard did. They shake a tit at the school show. Like he ratted us out immediately. And like Greg had to sit us down. He wasn't even like mad because we all knew that we messed up. Like he didn't need to tell us we messed up. It was one of those talks where he's like, for real, like, come on, you couldn't have done any better. One of those like, you know what you did. You could put yourself through it. And we did. But like, that's my favorite, like on stage mess up that I've ever like occurred.
How many like second graders do you think went home and were like, hey mom, what's a tit?
That would have been me.
I really think without context, like the way that flows, shake and I'm like a tit. Like that's just a weird scene to watch. Yeah, shake a tit. Like that's for parents, for kids. It's uncomfortable for everybody involved.
Did you get any reaction? Like what it looked like? What did it look like for people when you said that?
We didn't. I mean, because it was like because it was a field trip. We knew nobody in the audience. So they for normal shows, you get to talk to everybody afterward and kind of like ask for feedback. We didn't know any of these people. We didn't even do like after show, pictures and stuff. They just left. So all I know is that it was dead silent. It was so quiet in that theater, and like a tit just like echoed throughout the crowd.
I could see the teachers like holding it in, like laughing.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure at least one of them.
Especially, I'm hoping at least somebody could tell that we did not that this was not how it was supposed to go down, and that we were just freaking out and improvising.
This is what happens when 19-year-old boys have to come up with something on the fly. Shake a tit.
Shake a tit.
That should have been your biography.
Shake a tit.
Hot Kyle, shake a tit.
Shake a tit. That's gonna be stuck in my head. I'm gonna be like a damn parrot.
Dick.
All right.
Dick.
It's my turn, right?
Is that gonna be one of your times yelling dick at Mike's parents' house?
That was gonna be my honorable mention for sure. You gotta wait for that.
About that.
Yeah. I'm a little parrot. Just a preference. I'm a good guy.
No. I already love this story.
Yeah, I'm in.
I couldn't think of anything else other than that. I am not a dirty dude. I respect women. I just have to
know it, big dog.
I have lapse of judgment sometimes, and I think that's fair to say for everybody. So when I started dating my wife, I was a little rusty. I kind of how to be a boyfriend in a sense. The last relationship that I was in was high school, and so I didn't really have any like adult dating experiences, and so this was like kind of my first go at it in a long time. And safe to say, I've made some mistakes. So growing up, I was taught, me thinking, this is how I thought relationships, that when you're dating somebody that you love, you don't need to have a filter, that you could just say whatever's on your mind and that person love you no matter what. I am here to say, if you are a young man, you have to have a filter in any relationship. I've been married for 5 years and I still have a really strong filter on what I say and what I think. Maybe you think a lot cleaner than I do. I do not. So here's a story of me not having a filter. So Christian and I were dating about 4 months in, and I think this was around the second time I saw Christian's family. Christian's mom has very strong genes. Christian's siblings look just like her. So I don't see her dad. I don't see her dad in any of the siblings. They all look like Christian's mom. And so after we hang out with Christian's family, I decide to tell Christian that her mom is hot. Again, I'm not a dirty dude. It's not where you're thinking. I'm not trying to have sex with Christian's mom. All I'm trying to say is that there was some advice that I was given, is that when you're looking for a wife, to not judge her by what she looks like. It's so funny that we talked about this already, but to judge what her parents or what her mom might look like. And then you'll have a general idea what your soon-to-be wife will look like in the future. If her mom is good looking, most likely she will be good looking at the age of 40. You guys get what I'm saying? Am I wrong?
I've heard
Am
that.
I
I've
only one
heard
that
the
thought
same
this?
thing. Yeah, I know it's super common advice.
It's
You just
it's
took
super
it in a
okay.
direction, man.
So
I don't know
um,
if I would like use the term "don't judge her looks, judge her mom's looks" instead. But I understand the message you're going for.
Girl, your mom.
again, yes. Again, it is a
I
very
will
it's very
still be down to
shallow.
bang you when you're 45.
It is overall a shallow thing, and I think I've grown so much since then. But yes, it's a very shallow compliment. But honestly, it was the most thoughtful compliment that I thought I could give my girlfriend at the time. That like, hey, don't worry about aging because I'm gonna want to. You're gonna have to delete that, Robert. I'm sorry. And so coming up to the room, I said that to her, thinking that we were gonna have a beautiful moment, and she just looked at me like I was like an idiot, and she was like, "What did you say?" And that's when I felt it in my gut, and that's when I knew I might be single again. So I don't remember what happened after that. It's kind of hazy. I think we talked it out. I think I tried to explain to her what was at my heart and what was going on. But at one point, it just feels like you're digging yourself a bigger hole. You know,
Yeah.
you kind of just have to bite the bullet and just be like, "I'm sorry, I said something stupid. I don't want to have sex with your mom.
We've all been there.
Please forgive me." And yeah. So got married still, so it worked out.
I was gonna say, at least it's a happy ending to this story.
Yes, it's not as bad as sending an email to a girl. Actually, I made some decisions and figured it out.
Oh my goodness. I am so excited for your number one because I could never top that story in a million years. And I'm just glad Rob has to go third.
Well, you're gonna have to go through my stinkers first. And with that, I will lead into my number two. So picture this. You're a teenager, young adult. You're still at the age where you'll go to friends' houses and, stay the night and everything. And you being a teenager, you probably had some Taco Bell or some fast food, something that's really just gonna, sit in your gut and just eat away. And, as you do, nature calls and you go and use the bathroom and you poop out a cinder block or something crazy. And you go to flush and you don't hear that water go all the way down. And you look to the side and there is no plunger in their room. And like in the bathroom.
What?
And this happened to me multiple times, but like just that feeling and then having to walk of shame to go, especially if like your friend's not around and like the first person you find is like the mom or the parent, and you're just like, hey, where's your plunger? And just that is one of the worst, most embarrassing feelings ever. Be like, yeah, I just clogged up your toilet and I don't know why you don't have this there, but I need it. It just sucks. It's happened to me a handful of times. Yeah.
Yeah, how often are you dropping cinder blocks in guest houses?
Well, thankfully, I think since I was, a teenager, toilets have gotten better because I just, I don't even remember the last time I've had a clogged toilet. So I think technology has finally gotten to a point where my bowels are, can be handled. But it's just that, that fast food and all that, it gets you.
You ever heard of the turd cutter? You gotta cut it.
Get a poop knife.
What? Ew.
No,
what is this?
Your prison pocket, you turd cutter. You never heard of a turd cutter?
I just, I learned a safety. You give it the safety.
Twice. And
are you telling
neither
me
the people to use it look like me.
Lucian, are you suggesting you seal the sphincter to break up the You just
Am I the only one that has this ability, or am I a superhero?
I would just give a safety flush. That's just me.
Yeah.
I know that leads to a bigger mess that I will also have to, deal with momentarily.
Yeah, I don't want to be wiping for, 15 minutes.
Exactly. The TP can be just as bad as the cinder block.
Sometimes it's like a brown marker, man. At some point, you just got to recap it and just call it a day.
You just got to cut your losses and live with what's there.
Oh my gosh. So when I moved into this apartment, me and my roommate just never got around to buying a plunger. And I was hanging out with my buddy Cody, who might be on the pod someday. He might never speak to me again after I tell this story on air, so we'll see. But we were hanging out and he comes out of the bathroom and he's like, "Hey man, where's your plunger?" And I was like, "Oh crap, dude, we don't have one." And he was like, "Why don't you have a plunger?" I was like, "Well, you see, we've never needed one until now, actually. Just hasn't been an issue." And we looked up a bunch of things to try and like work around it. Nothing happened. He was like, "Fine, we'll go to Walmart. I'll buy you a plunger." I'm like, "All right, yeah, sure, that works." And so we go to Walmart, and as we're walking in, these two baristas from the local Starbucks that we knew are walking out. And we run into them, and we're chatting for a little bit. Cody is trying everything in his power to be like, hey, do you guys want to come over and hang out?
Oh, my God.
And I am doing everything I can to just like block him left and right. I'm like, nope, this isn't happening. And like, I don't know if they could tell or not, but there was just this game of cat and mouse going on where I was just like constantly trying to get like one step ahead of him. And so we finally say bye, they leave, we take a couple steps, and he's like, dude, what the heck? Why didn't you why weren't you backing me up? I was like, Cody, why are we here? He was like, oh yeah, good call.
You lost a side of the mission, man. What are we doing?
My dude was trying to invite chicks over to a house with a very clogged toilet. And I was just like, no.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Not to mention that entire car ride over, you've got, I guess they wouldn't be riding with you. So never mind.
No, but
Just
they would be leaving
down.
first, so they're either going to get there and like use the spare key to get in and potentially discover the situation, or they're going to be waiting for us, and we're going to have to find a way to sneak the plunger past them. I was like, we are not doing this, dude.
I mean, people poop, man. That kind of just is what it is.
No, I get it, but like,
And now I'm not like so bothered by it, but like especially like when I was a teenager, like especially if you saw like the parent and you had to ask, I don't know, just like the most shame ever.
no, that'd be uncomfortable.
And I did find out though from one of my family members, he was a plumber for a while there. If you have a removable shower hose, you can just take it off, put it in hot water until it fills up, let it drain, keep on going. It'll break up the poop right away. There you go. If you don't,
Robert? Are you taking a shower right now?
Hey,
why does it smell like poop?
1 minute, Mom.
What are we on 2?
Yep.
When I was in, I want to say junior year. It might have been senior year, but it was either junior or senior year of high school. I get a call from my good buddy Dylan, and he's like, "Hey man, did you want to come to a pool party at Kyle's house?"
Oh my
Yes.
God, I know where this is going.
Kyle. And I was like, yeah, sounds like a great time. Because Kyle, his parents still live in this house that is right down the street from where Dylan's parents used to live when we were in high school. And so I go over there, and there's a bunch of people hanging out technically it was at Emily's house. She was right across the street from Dylan, and it was kind of just interchangeable. When you went to hang out with Dylan, there was a decent chance we were all over at Mr. B's. So we're hanging out and we're waiting. And finally I'm like, all right, why are we waiting to go to this thing? And he was like, well, Kyle's not there yet. Now, this is the point where I make an assumption. And I know you're not supposed to make assumptions, but this one felt pretty reasonable. And the assumption was, if somebody invites you to a pool party, there is a pool party. Apparently, that's not a safe assumption. But I'm like, look, guys, if Kyle already invited us, why don't we just go hop in the pool? And then when he gets there, no big deal. Him and his people will hop in the pool too. We'll all have a good time. And Dylan's like, hey, that makes sense. And so we get to the pool and we hop the fence and we're all having a good time. And I'm assuming Dylan couldn't answer his phone because, you know, we were in the pool and he didn't hear it ringing. So the way I remembered, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle comes storming into the backyard and he's like, what are you guys doing? Because, again, there was no pool party. Dylan just invited people over with the intent of then trying to get Kyle to throw a pool party because there were already guests.
Yeah. So
and his sister was home alone and what, like 11?
Yeah, she was young. Exactly. Right around 11.
And so, like, did she call the cops? I feel like she called the cops.
She just called my mother, like bawling, like tears flowing down her face because all these strange men had broken into the backyard and were just using our pool. Like, she didn't recognize anybody. She was like peeking one eye, like out the window, like in the fetal position on the ground, sobbing, just like calling my mom over and over again because she had no idea what to do. And she wanted to call the police. And I know what's going on. Like, I'm with my mom, and she's like, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Dylan. Like, I know exactly what's happening. So I'm trying to call him, and I'm getting no answer because he's in the pool. So Zoe had like she was like having a panic attack inside the house while you guys were just like having a ball in our pool, thinking nobody was home.
Yeah, and naturally, because we were high schoolers. Kyle comes out, he's yelling at us, and the blame everybody just collectively shifts all the blame onto me. Well, it was Mike's idea to just hop the fence. I was like, there's no time to explain in the heat of the moment. Well, I was invited to a pool party, therefore I assumed there was a pool party. Horrible moment to just like, I was just like, oh, cool. I get to be responsible apparently for just destroying this poor girl's evening and breaking and entering into this house. Yeah, it was a horrible moment.
Well, exactly, because the whole thing shifted from using the pool to being like, wow, you did this to my sister. You made my sister feel this way. Like, it wasn't even about the pool anymore, and you didn't have any idea. But at the time, we're like consoling my sister who thought you guys were all gonna break in and murder her. And we're like,
taking the pool.
Exactly. Like, she was convinced that she was going to die. Like, she was 11 and just like panicking like crazy.
Hey, new
and
movie
it was
idea.
all Mike's fault.
The pool party.
The pool.
Oh my gosh. When the crazy thing is, so I now work for Kyle's mom.
Yeah.
And this Halloween, this one that just passed, she was like, hey, what are your Halloween plans? I was like, nothing. My daughter's with my in-laws for like a week. I got nothing to do. And I was trying to be like, this is such a wonderful thing. I'm going to spend a Tuesday with my feet up doing nothing. And she took that to be like, oh, he has no plan. So she was like, hey, do you want to come over and have chili and pass out candy with us? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, sounds great. And it was a ball. But being back in that house was super weird for me, man. Like, just like the last time I was in this house, I was getting chewed a new one for something that really wasn't my fault.
Did you tell her the story?
Oh yeah, I told her that story well before I was invited into the home. I was like, we were like 3 weeks in. I was like, hey, do you remember when this happened? Yeah, funny story.
Yeah, she'll never forget it. It was one of those like iconic family memories that will haunt you forever.
Yeah. I think she understood though. Like when I told her the story this time, she was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was like, it wasn't.
She gets it nowadays, but knowing my sister, there will always be this part of her that will slightly hang on to the feelings she had and like hold that against you. Like, you guys are good now. You guys are homies now, but she will never forget what you put her through.
Yeah, now she can never live in a house with a pool. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
All right,
nice
man.
going, Mike.
She like sees water and freaks out. Washes her hands.
All right, number ones.
Okay, for my number one story, and this is actually one of my favorite stories to tell. This one is hilarious, no matter which way you cut it. Even at the time, I was aware of how like hilariously embarrassing this was. And I'm like age 24 in this story, so I have like gotten past all my awkward high school years. I'm dating women now. That's a big step. And
Yes.
and really like I'm not one to get embarrassed. Like if anything embarrassing happens, I'm the first to be like, oh, this is hilarious. We can all laugh at it together. I was age 24 and me, my girlfriend at the time, I'm gonna use names. My girlfriend, Morgan, my sister, Zoe, and her boyfriend, Jake.
That doesn't narrow it down at all.
Thank you, sir. We're going to a party to meet my friend Austin's new girlfriend, Kelsey. It is the first time we are meeting her, and it is a party at her house. And so we're Austin's entourage, and we're showing up, we're showing up on our own, but everybody else there are people we don't know. We have to go out there and like make an impression. And so, but which is something we can handle. We're good at like rolling into a party where we know nobody and making friends. So we pre-gamed, then we're driving, blasting music on the way there. I've got we parked the car. We're supposed to enter, we're supposed to go around through the back door and enter through the back. Everybody's right by my side. I've got 2 cases of beer in my hands, and we're walking around. Massive house. They had this like practical mansion, and it was this long walk to go down this big hill. They had a pool in the backyard that had all these like rock structures coming out of it. It was actually pretty magnificent. But so we do this long walk, and on the way, I'm kind of like, I'm getting in my zone. I don't know if you guys do that. Like before a big social situation, sometimes I'll just like, all right, get in the right headspace to be ready to talk to a bunch of brand new people for the first time. And I've got a case of beer in each hand, and I'm walking up to the back door. It's a glass like sliding door, and it's already wide open. And I'm like, sweet, all right, let's just walk in. Let's do this thing. Let's get this going. And I'm walking, and I'm about to walk through the door, and I do not even recognize that this glass sliding door is closed until I slam headfirst into it, like full body, face first, head followed, then 2 cases of beer following that. There is the loudest slam you've ever heard. And everybody like inside stops and turns and looks. And the glass sliding door falls off of its hinges, And in dramatic slow motion, after we've already gotten everyone's attention because they've seen me slam into this thing, and it slowly just boom and falls in front of everybody. And I swear it was like record scratch. You're like cliche. Everybody in the room like stopped what they were doing and just stared at me. And I'm standing there like eyes wide, 2 cases of beer in my hand. And I turn and look back for support from Morgan, my sister, and her boyfriend, and they're gone. They dipped. They ran. They disappeared. And they're gone. And I look back and I'm like, come on, like recover, say something. And I'm literally just like, kind of hard to come back from that, huh? And nobody found it funny. Nobody even smiled. Austin came over and had to fix the door. I got into the party, and the whole rest of the night, I was meeting people left and right. Everybody knew who I was because of me slamming into the door. Like, there was no need for introductions. They were like, oh, you were the guy who knocked the door off, right? Oh, yeah, you were the guy who walked into the door. You were like, everybody in the party knew who I was before I even get to talk to him because I walked face first into this glass door.
Oh, my gosh.
So the glass didn't like shatter or anything? It landed?
No, luckily, glass didn't shatter.
Okay.
It was just this whole like 15-minute endeavor where Austin's like trying to impress his girlfriend by fixing this door. And then Morgan and Zoe and Jake walk up and they're like, oh, that's crazy. What happened? And like, it was my girlfriend's idea. But I asked her, I was like, where did you go? And she's like, oh, I saw what happened. And she's like, and I turned and I pushed them away. Like, we ran. We were not going to be associated with that.
Not a business decision.
Exactly. She's like, it's our first impression. She's like, that is not going to like represent all of us. And I'm like, all right, low key, I respect it. I get it. It's like a bunch of new friends. I get it. You did what you had to do.
All right. Okay. So my number one also has to do with Christian, but mostly with Christian's family. So
Who did you call hot this time?
Oh my
Her
god,
dad.
the dad.
Stepdad.
He did meth though. That's crazy.
You said me gusta.
Robert, I'm sorry.
I don't know what Papa. I don't know.
It's the Black Tar Harry.
Me gusta Padres. Me gusta Madres y Padres.
So this is the most recent time I've ever been embarrassed. And so Christian has a pretty big family. When if you would have went to our wedding, I think it was like 90% her family and like 10% my family. She just has a huge, big Kentucky family. And they all like to get together and hang out sometimes for Christmas or stuff like that. I usually find my way around my brother-in-law, and then we just like talk. It's like he's one of my favorite people to talk to in the family, and so we kind of just hit it off. And so peanut butter got involved, and I don't remember how. I can't remember. But I have this really ridiculous...
Did you say peanut butter got involved?
Yeah, as in like a topic.
Nice.
Not
okay.
like...
Start rubbing it on each other. It's our skin.
We're talking, and I just can't stop chewing this peanut butter.
Making the gum sound.
The topic peanut butter got involved. And I have this disgusting joke about peanut butter.
No.
And like when it I can't explain it. When words or like when something comes up in my brain, I have to let it out. Like it's like I run it over my head over and over and over again, and it's just like it just blurted out. And so I thought the only person that was near me was the brother. So I tell this absolutely disgusting. I wish I never said it. A joke to the brother. He gets a really disgusting face on his face. And in my head, I was thinking, dude, we've joked like this before. I don't understand, why are you looking like this? And then I turn around and it's Christian's mom heard the joke. And my nuts jump into my stomach. And I just don't know. I just don't know what to do, because like when I'm around Christian's family, I'm a very kind, and I'm not generally, but like I know my place, right? I'm the in-law. I'm the helpful guy. I'm the guy that just does the dishes. You know, when there's a fight and there's a fight in the family, I like try to help it out or I stay away. You know, like I am just I just try to be the most thoughtful person. And so that was really out of character to me to talk about this disgusting peanut butter joke. So she hears it, and the first thing she says is, "Oh my gosh, Lucian, ew." And then like a telegram going through the warp. Everybody wants to know what the hell I said. And the whole family, the whole big Kentucky family starts surrounding me, it feels like. And they want to know what was the joke. and
Jeez.
my mother-in-law shared it. And
she
it
was like,
and-
Lucian asked, what's the difference between peanut butter? Oh, no, never mind. That's
And
jelly and jam.
jam?
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. What's the difference? Yeah, can't.
You're going to have to tell us this joke after the podcast, though. I'm so
No,
curious.
Yeah.
You gotta tell us
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
This
yeah.
story means nothing if we don't get to hear the joke.
I can't. I can tell you afterwards, but it cannot be on air.
We could just bleep it.
Or
There's the
Yeah, yeah,
4
we
hour
can-
of editing.
You would have to bleep the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah,
I can share it now.
I can
but
just do the
if I
long-
You
did
just
it-
have to bleep the punchline.
I mean, and honestly,
You-
it's not much of a joke. I mean, it's just like a scenario. It's just putting.
having a,
Oh, the American
that's
Pie.
all you said.
Well, yeah, like American Pie. So it's not. It's actually not as big as it is, but it's absolutely disgusting. The way that I wanted to share the story made it seem like bigger than it actually is.
Yeah. How
But
did you
I-
say this to the family?
Um,
Were you like, did it
well,
involve a
so-
punchline, or are you just like, oh, I saw it?
Oh gosh.
No, we were talking about peanut butter, and I
That
was
just
like,
sounds worse.
and I think I was like, dude, I could go for some peanut butter right now, and I could really something of that sort. So back to the story. So this family surrounds me. I feel surrounded by all these white people, and they're so interested in figuring out what I said. And then Krisha's mom, I feel like, acts it out. She just like she shares to everybody what I said, and I felt like Cersei's atonement of walk of atonement.
Shame.
Do you guys know what I'm
Shame.
talking about?
Oh,
Game of Thrones?
yeah.
Shame.
Oh yeah.
I've never felt more shame. I don't think in my entire life to know that this guy wants this peanut butter situation to go on. Yeah, there you go. So I mean, they said ew, Lucian, and they kind of just walked off, and then I was just left there, empty. Yeah. Also, like, there's a known murderer in the family, so
Dang.
I mean,
Jesus.
what?
I take it back. Rob, you got that joke?
I'll say it.
Yeah, his name is.
Wonderful people.
He actually passed away recently. His name was Crazy Carl, and I was
Never mind.
I don't know why.
Crazy Carl.
Everybody called him Crazy Carl. He had tattoos, rode a bike.
To
super
his
classic.
face?
To his face. Everybody called him. Yeah, everybody called him Crazy Carl.
How many teeth did he have?
I honestly never looked at him in his eyes. To be honest with you.
What was his kill streak?
I think he murdered
UAV?
somebody in prison.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a Call of Duty joke or you honestly wanted to know more.
Well, it was like no, genuinely, it was like, I mean, how many kills did you get in one life would be a kill streak. It was both. I was curious though, was it like a serial killing or like what went down?
He had a,
No, yeah,
a
prison.
neutral KD.
1-1.
Yep.
1-1. It's also funny because he talked to me every time he talked to me though. He talked to me like a 70s like hips like jive turkey. You know what I'm talking about? Like, what's up, my brother? How's it going? Go. You know what I'm saying? Like a hip hop, a hippity hip hop.
Don't stop.
So yeah, yeah.
Boogie
That was
fun. Talk like the Purple Hill Gang.
Talk like the Purple Hill Gang.
The only
I love
rap
them
Mike
for
will
it.
listen to.
It's not technically true. Just close.
Okay, so my number one, I'm calling it audible because this just came to my brain. It's not going to be quite as good. It's not going to be in the same ballpark, I don't think, but I think it's going to be better than what I originally had. So back in middle school, the youth group I went to, whenever like Halloween week would come around, that Halloween or that youth group, we would all dress up, it'd be a big party and all that. So obviously, you graduate and go to high school. And during this high school, like I just assumed that would carry on, and I'm playing in the band. I'm in the worship group. So the week of Halloween, I show up in this full ghillie suit, and the whole like band practice, I'm just there practicing. I'm like, where's everyone's costumes and everything? And no one else dressed up, and I was the only one. So I was up there on stage playing guitar in a ghillie suit because I thought everyone was gonna dress up for Halloween, and it just nope. And the worst part is the girl that I liked at the time, I texted her like, oh yeah, everyone's coming dressed up for Halloween. Thankfully, she did not show up, but yeah, I was quite embarrassed that time because I was just like, "What are you doing, man?"
That's
You know what
that's
the
a
craziest
classic.
thing was? That is a classic. But the crazy thing is that if I went to this thing and I just saw a guitar playing itself, I would have lost my mind.
Where is it?
They so that happened to me in high school for Wear a Tie Wednesday. Like nobody ever did that. They tried to make it a thing and everyone just like thought it was stupid. And so me and my friends started doing like wear a full suit and tie Wednesday.
Suit up.
And it was just like, it was one of those fun things where it's like, I'm in high school and I'm doing something different and I'm not embarrassed by it. So it's funny. And then they all just decided, they were like, hey, it'd be really hilarious to just not tell Mike that we're not doing it this week. And so I was the only kid in school in a suit and tie, but I was just like, you know.
So you knew what Seth felt, you know?
Yeah, well, Seth did it on purpose. That was one of the moments where I was like, I'm too tired to be embarrassed by this. I'm just going to get through the day. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little.
I get you.
A ghillie suit and, you know, like an actual formal suit that's supposed to make men look good. You know, I think it's a little bit of a difference there. You're not trying to play Howie Loves in a ghillie suit, you know.
That's the one time you were okay with the line unforeseen kiss. That was the cringiest worship joke I've ever made.
But we all love you for it.
Oh, thank you. My number one took place at camp in, I want to say it was middle school classic. And it was, by this time, it was semi-common knowledge that I had a crush on this one girl. I denied it vehemently to anyone who wasn't in my inner circle, but everybody knew. And so there's that. Another important factor is we used to play this game called pepper football. I may have mentioned it on here, but essentially it was like, so paper football, at least the way I learned how to play it is you fold up the triangle football and you slide it across the table, and your goal is to get part of the paper triangle to hang off the table without the whole thing toppling over. And that's how you score points. We used to play that with a pepper shaker. And so you'd slide the pepper shaker back and forth with the guy across from you. And if you got the pepper shaker to partially hang off the table without tipping over, the guy had to pour a line of pepper onto the table and snort it. Pepper football.
I remember this.
I had to do this line of pepper, got just like a huge flake. Like most of it would just shoot up your nose and it was awful and it was unpleasant for a minute. But there was like a weirdly big piece that got stuck right at the bottom of the edge of my nostril. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like crying. I'm like, why does this hurt so bad? It's burning. And finally I'm like, oh, okay, there's a piece of pepper stuck legitimately like a millimeter into my nose. And so I just like put my finger up to the bridge of my nose or the middle of my nose and just flick it out. Took half a second. Well, the girl I had a crush on, one of her friends had a digital camera and just happened to be trailing it on our table and got a picture with my finger straight up resting against the bridge of my nose. So it looked like I had wound up and was half a second away from just being knuckle deep in there. And that freaking picture spread like she was passing the camera around. People with digital cameras were taking pictures of the original digital camera. It was awful. Everybody that week was like, you're the dude who picks his nose. And I was just like, I could live with this, but can we not be saying this in front of the girl I have a crush on, please? And obviously I couldn't say that out loud, but it was just, it was terrible. Not a fun time.
But it was her best friend's phone, right?
It was it was pre-phone. It was digital camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was her best friend?
It was one of her. Yeah, they were close. They were in the same cabin.
That's rough because there's no chance after that because now you're that guy.
Right.
And if she were to ever be interested in you, she would be dating that guy, you know? Like,
yeah, it was rough.
That's a really tough one, buddy.
It's no good. And the worst part was like, it was my first middle school crush. So like that crush lingered till like halfway through 8th grade. That was all of middle school, was having a crush on the girl who very quickly knew me as the nose pick guy.
Oh, jeez.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that never went anywhere. Not that it would have. I was in 8th grade. That'll last, like, I imagine those 8th grade relationships last, a month.
You didn't get
at best.
You didn't look up her email on the email list they used to hand out?
Oh, I'm sure I did, but I never had the balls to email her.
Did you know her as an adult?
Yeah, right? It was a little weird.
So Kyle, at the end of the week for camp, they would print off basically like a phone book for everyone. They'd have their phone numbers and emails and hand them out to every kid so you could stay in contact. And looking back, like that is just so weird. That's like, here's just the information for people. Even if you don't want them to have it.
I mean, the camp was good vibes overall, though, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, the camp was fine. It's just, being an adult looking back, just like,
But like, what? As we know from Lucian's story, you can receive an email and then just never talk to them again. So it's not like it's putting anybody else in this position.
Ooh, yikes, too soon. Yikes. Did you tell this girl Like, did you know her after middle school?
Oh yeah, dude. Well, after middle school, not really. She was a camp girl and a church girl. So like, I was involved with the same social circle as this girl year round. And I think she just kind of stopped going to, I don't know if her family stopped going to church or if she stopped going to events, like if she stopped going to youth group or something, but I didn't really see her much in high school. We did run into each other at family camp when we were both in high school and ended up in the same group. And it was just kind of like, you know what, man, it's good. Like, or maybe it was just like towards the end of elementary or middle school. I don't remember, but it definitely was this kind of thing where it's like, all right, nothing's ever going to happen. We can just be cool and hang out with the same group of people because there's only 4 people your age to hang out with in family camp. So you may as well make the best of it. I would like to hear Lucian tell the story of the first time he met Hot Kyle.
Okay.
That's a good story. Oh, shoot. All right. So the first time I saw Kyle, so I'm in this dark, dingy basement, and I am a little nervous. I think everybody's cool, and I'm pretty sure everybody's cool, but there's this like grown man who's just really aggressive in ping pong, and he was just giving out this like hardcore vibe. And every time I looked at him, he was either playing ping pong or playing chess, and he owned the house, and I was just like, this guy is kind of crazy. And there's this death guy who keeps yelling at me, and he keeps drinking. And so like I think I'm safe, but I'm not 100% like doing well. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to get out of the party a little bit. You know, I'm looking at my wife, and I think we have like some type of connection. It's like, hey, we just need to leave soon. And then I think I hear somebody say, Hot Kyle is coming. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, Hot Kyle. And I'm like, okay, this guy seems like a big deal. Because everybody's having like a unison like enjoyment of knowing that we're getting blessed by the presence of Hot Kyle.
God damn.
and then I see this super tall guy come down.
Don't be intimidated, Squidward. Try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh no, he's hot!
Yep. I see this guy come down, and I wanted to be like, oh, he must be a dickhead. Oh, he has to be a dickhead. He has to be a terrible person. And then he starts politician. He finds a baby and he kisses it on the forehead. That kind of vibe. He's shaking everybody's hand. I think you had alcohol. I think you had some type of alcohol.
I always do.
Okay,
I gotta bring something.
So like
He
presents
only
the
carries
alcohol.
in one hand though, because he likes to keep one hand in front of him for some reason when he enters the doorway.
Every open doorway, one hand first. You can't be too careful.
So he like is super cool. He has this alcohol. We're not even really drinking like that, but now everybody's like partaking. And I just watch Hot Kyle just move. And he's just moving through the crowd. And he's interacting with everybody. And he's having like personal relationship conversations with literally everybody he's talking to. And then he says, hey guys, do you guys want to see my movie? And I go, what the going on? What the is going on? And what? This guy has a movie? He's making a movie? This is ridiculous. This is out of a TV show. This is not real.
You can see the movie
And
on
then everybody
YouTube.com,
just-
Four Horsemen and Co.
Yep. Thank you. It's called Life.
And so everybody just moves around to make it into a movie theater. And then the basement turns into a movie theater, and out of like in seconds. And then we watch, I think, I don't know if it was a trailer or like the first
It was the
part.
trailer, yeah.
Okay, and then we watch the trailer of this movie, and it's not bad. It's not a bad trailer. Like, it's not like a thing. And I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be this like thing with this just hot guy doing hot things because he's hot.
Well, that can't be bad then.
Well, it's just like you ever hang out with like super hot people and they're just engrossed in themselves and
Not
they kinda,
really.
like,
Mhm.
That's
this,
not the
like,
crowd I run with.
crazy confidence.
I know exactly what you're
It's
talking
not
about.
often. Yeah. And
Wow,
it's
guys,
not about,
thanks
it's
for making
not-
me feel great about myself.
Yeah, and I was in my car with my wife, and I talked about Hot Kyle the whole time on
Oh,
the way home.
My God.
And didn't you call him Sexy Dave first or something like that?
I was gonna say the thing I remember is the highlight didn't even come into the story.
Oh my God! Did I say is Sexy Dave coming? I can't remember where Sexy Dave came from.
He walked in and like he's doing his rounds of introductions and like he gets to you and he's like, "Oh hey, what's up, man?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, you're that Sexy Dave or whatever."
I don't even remember that part. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that made it into a book of mine. I stole that name and just put it right onto a character.
It sounds like when you started talking to him, your immediate thought was "Me gusta chicos."
I mean, I was drinking the Kool-Aid, man. I wanted to not though. I wanted to hate Kyle, and I wanted to so bad, but there's nothing I could have done. And then even the second time we hung out, I liked him even more, and that bothered me as well for a little bit.
Listen,
I think I've accepted it.
I appreciate this story, man. I mean, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. There's no lie. I wanted to hate.
Well, and like, I get it. If I heard about some guy named Hot Kyle, I would also immediately have a disposition to be like, oh, this guy's going to be a dick. Like, that's why I'm not huge on like the Hot Kyle thing, because I didn't come up with it. I'm not trying to put off that kind of vibe, but I appreciate hearing a story like that from another perspective.
Good. Yeah, it was an experience. And then another thing I thought was funny, and this is the second time you gave me a tour around your house, and it was like for some people I expected the ending of the tour for you to show your bedroom and be like, this is where the magic happens, and then you didn't do it, and I was both convinced, like surprised that you didn't do it, relieved, so kind of say this is what happens. So I don't know. Mixed feelings on that.
Are you suggesting that I end my tours with the bedroom?
I think with guys, I think that'd be fun. Or, me gusta.
And this is where the magic happens. Me gusta chicos.
Kyle, wow, that's a wild story. That's a wild story from a different perspective. That's so funny.
Kyle, tell us what you got going on, buddy.
All right. Well, as you guys already know, I'm moving to LA in a couple months. We're finishing up the next movie called The Inhabitants. For anybody listening, the biggest thing I can ask is that you follow me on Instagram. I hate social media. I really do. But it's the game I gotta like get around to have an edge in LA. And it's also where I will be posting about my movie releases and anything that I'm working on in the future. So my name is Kyle Kimlick, Kimlick. Look me up on Instagram. Give me a follow. I'm also, lately I've been consistently dropping regular kind of short stories and art pieces on there. I'm really trying to make my Instagram a hub of entertainment in its own right. So please give me a follow there, and you can keep up with everything I'm doing moving forward, especially as I take on this big journey of, going to Hollywood and seeing what happens.
Check the link in the podcast note or the description in the YouTube channel. I'll link it there too.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Who's hosting next week?
That is me. So next week, I want to know, what is your guys' top 5 classic YouTube videos? So with that, I'm going to put, they cannot have been made in the past 5 years. So when you think back in we all came into YouTube different times, but when you think back to YouTube, what are your iconic videos? What's your Mount Rushmore of YouTube videos? And that's what I want to know.
That's a good one, man. That'll be fun.
That is a really good one. Does music videos work or no?
Sure, yeah. No, it's YouTube videos. So it can be music videos. It can be bad lip reading. That kind of what inspired me, because I'm like, my gosh, I forgot about that, and that was amazing. Kind of inspired me to think of this topic.
Very cool.
I like it.
I'm happy to be your muse, Robert. Appreciate it.
I just think of you whenever I'm sitting down to write my novel.
Good to know. All right. Are we good? Oh, do I need to say some other stuff again?
You need to close us out.
My favorite part.
What do I say? How do I say it?
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to the Top Podcast. This is your guest host, Hot Kyle. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll catch you all next week on the Flippity Flip.
And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review and we'll read it on the air. Hope you guys have a great week.
Damn, Kyle.
Hey, te gusta chico, see?
Me gusta chico.